It's Super Videos back at you for another Q&A video. This is going to be Q&A number 20. As always, if you're not caught up with The Walking Dead TV show and the comic book, you may not want to watch this video because things may be spoiled for you. So that being said, let's get right into this. Let's start with The Walking Dead show questions. The first question comes from Jiggy Dagus-Cohan, and they ask, which actress would you like to play the role of Magna? That's a good question. I liked the actress who played Paula back in season 6. I think her name is Alicia Witt. She would have been great, but I don't really have a preference for Magna because she's not as big of a character yet as others. So anyone would be good as long as they have the intimidating factor to them as well as the beauty factor to them. The next question comes from Final Mystery T, and they ask, if Frank Darabont was still the showrunner, do you have any idea on what might have changed in the series? So if Frank Darabont was still the showrunner, I think it would have been more action-packed, and I think they would have covered way more material than Scott M. Gimple is doing, which I like better because there's a balance between some original material as well as material from the comic book, and the way Scott M. Gimple remixes these things is pretty good. So I really like the way things are right now. But if Frank Darabont was the showrunner still, I would say it would have been more action-packed. It would have had more comic material covered in every season, and the character development wouldn't be the way it is with Scott M. Gimple, because with Scott M. Gimple, he makes it so that you care about the characters and their relationship. But for Frank Darabont, I felt like he wasn't doing a lot of that. It was mostly just giving us a lot of backstory to these characters and making us feel for them, but not necessarily about the relationship between them and how they affect one another. But that's a great question. The next question comes from Jiggy Dagus-Cohan again, and they ask, will Bruce, Tobin, Eric, Crystal, and Francine be a part of the militia that Rick and other communities build? I don't know who Crystal is. I haven't seen her at Alexandria. I don't know who she is. And for Eric, I don't think he's a fighter, but for Tobin, yeah, definitely. Why not? They could definitely be part of the militia Rick builds before All Out War starts. Now let's move on to The Walking Dead's comic book / show questions. The question comes from 0718 Dragonlord, and they ask, what if Shane was shot and put in a coma instead of Rick? For that one, I can just give you a simple answer because there's so much weight to this question. The only thing I can say is that it would have been a completely different show because, of course, when Rick was shot, he had a family, so there was that connection. And that was the motivation for that whole season for Rick, basically. And that pushed him to do things. And that was the basic storyline of Rick getting to his family. For Shane, he didn't really have a family as long as we know. No wife, no kids. So it would have been different. That's all I can say. But that's a good question, but there's just a lot of factors involved that you can't really answer in a Q&A question. The next question comes from Jiggy Dagus-Cohan again, and they ask, will Sasha take the role of Brianna in the comics? That wouldn't work. It needs to be someone from the Hilltop. Anyone at the Hilltop would work. Brianna is such a small character with relation to the other characters that we've seen, so it doesn't matter who takes her place as long as they are a resident of the Hilltop. The next question comes from Final Mystery T again, and they ask, if the Walking Dead characters were in a 28 Days Later movie scenario, would they survive? I think the tough ones would definitely survive no matter what world they're in. Whether it's 28 Days Later, whether it's The Walking Dead, or whether it's other zombie apocalypse films or TV shows. I think the tough ones would survive. To name a few, I would say in the comic book, Rick, Andrea, Michonne, Carl maybe, Negan. In the TV show, also Rick, Michonne, Negan, and someone like Sasha, Maggie, and definitely, I can't name them all, but these are some of the characters that come to mind. Now let's move on to the comic book questions. The first question comes from Voltex33, and they ask, what if Negan and Beta fight in the upcoming issues? Who do you think Maggie would kill and who would she save? That's a great question. I don't think for Maggie it's an option of who to save or who to kill. I think it's the option of who do I kill first for Maggie. That's my take on it. I think, given that Beta is the enemy at the moment, Maggie would help Negan take care of Beta, and then once that's taken care of, she would want to kill Negan as well. So it's not like she can pick one and kill the other. I think she would want to kill both. The next question comes from Gavin Cottrell, and they ask, do you think there will be anyone worse than Negan and Beta? That's actually a pretty good question. I love this question. And simple answer, no, I don't think so. Because there's Negan, who has the intimidation factor and the brutality factor and the charismatic factor to being a villain. And there's Beta, who is just intimidating, he's strong, he's scary. The way he rules is very strict, very tough. He's very tough. So I think, in my opinion, Negan is the baddest villain The Walking Dead has ever come up with. The last question comes from Voltix33 as well, and they ask, will Hershel Jr. die in the comic book? I don't think they'll kill him off. If he's survived this long, I think they're going to keep him around for a while more. And based on the recent cover reveal for The Walking Dead, so after the Whisper War, it seems like he will definitely survive. And I think if they're not going to kill him off in the Whisper War, then he's going to be with us for quite a long time. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you want to participate in my next Q&A video, write your questions in the comment section below. Make sure to put Q&A before your comment so I can find it, and I'm going to be doing my next Q&A next week. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.